It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday, December 9th. And this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this fabulous Friday, everyone? Yes, we got current news from around the world. It is the word study about the Wednesday message and thoughts of the week on leadership and faith stars. All right, everyone, how are you doing today? Yes, it is Friday. Yes, the end of the week. The weekend is upon us and super grateful, thankful all of you guys are starting this weekend here on the Morning Star Drive. Let's get this kicked off. Amazing weekend. We're going to have a new message coming out to a new direction. So hope that everyone can really set fire to their hearts and finish this week off really well. Yes, we're almost in the middle of December. The time is flying by fast. Everyone, keep liking, keep commenting, keep building the community. I want to hear from you guys, see how you're doing, post your song requests, questions, stories, whatever it is. Let us build a platform for all of us just to be super open and honest about all the different things that are going on and having good hot topics too, like today, right? So as you can see, every Friday we have Let's Testify, Tuli called me the other day and she said that her schedule is super busy for work, plus she is sick, right? So I'm glad that she told me ahead of time so I can prepare something else for today, but a lot of different things to talk about. But if anything, everyone, Let's Testify is one of our favorite segments, so please pray for her so she can get all her work sorted out. But most importantly, let's pray for Tuli's health so she can recover as quickly as possible, all right? Another announcement that I should be talking about is I don't think there's going to be a Espresso Sky video this week because I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So there was I was supposed to speak at a praise night on Friday, and something happened, so it got canceled. So I thought to myself, oh, I should make it right now. And then I realized, I was like, oh, wait a second. No, I should make it. You know what? I'm going to make it right now. I got to make up my mind for this. I keep getting mixed up in the days and stuff like that too. So you know what? I can do this. And it's not a long one because it's about my back window being broken. So I will have it ready. I will have it ready. And I hope that, I'm giving the editors not enough time. So I really got to do better in this situation also. But either way, I'll make sure something's there. I will. Amen. I will do it. I am a YouTuber. As this came out in last week's mental health episode of Until the End with Daniel Baker. I am a YouTuber. I will make content today. So I will do that, all right? We got the poll for the best evangelism skills. And the poll is going very, very well. A lot of people are writing in on it. Still, at the very top is bringing people, and that number has gone up to 37%. And then taking care of people is 31%. So still 68% of the people think it's about bringing people and taking care of people, which probably means that there's not a lot of people coming in and there's a lot of people going out, right? And that's kind of the two things that we actually look at and see. And then in the middle, we have connecting people, 16%, lecturing is 14%, and finance is 2%. And I did expect finance to be the lowest, but it is actually a good thing that if finance is your biggest issue, that means all the other parts of evangelism are working. So I would say that is in a pretty healthy situation. All right. Today's very, very interesting topic. It's because thoughts of the week on leadership and faith stars. And because there's a lot of change in direction and stuff with stars and stuff like that too, it made me think a lot more deeply about this topic, right? And I am going to get into this a little bit later. No, it's not going to be controversial. It's going to be thought-provoking. And it's going to be something where, especially me, remember, I am a star. Right? So me as a star, I'm thinking about my situation. So I want you guys to think about it in this way. I find it easier for me to talk about because I am a star. I've lived in this situation for the last 20 years. Well, I've been a star for 17 years, since 2005, right? So I've been a star for 17, going on 18 years. So for me, it's I'll look back at the last 17, 18 years and I'll say, what is the issue? What do you think could be done better? now that the directions have changed, right? And those of you guys know that the Star Department is going to be, it's basically dissolving, right? There's no such thing as a Star soon. I know in Korea already, there's no such thing as a Star Department, right? So that's gone. So what does that mean? Like, and what's the direction? What should we be focusing on for the future? And this is not me saying we should do this. I'm saying these are things we should think about. We really, really should. So I think this one will be a very, very interesting thoughts of the week. And a lot of people are going to start a lot of people will comment on that. I know they will, right? Especially stars. And I think, non-stars too, but I think it's going to be something like, oh, that is a true thing. If the direction has changed, then what does that mean? Then our direction, if the direction changes, then shouldn't our direction change too? And I thought that was going to be quite interesting topic to talk about for today's Thoughts of the Week. All right. So either way, let's get into some music from member artists from around the world. And it has happened, guys. You guys heard Youngse's really inspiring song on Wednesday, but now I have her intro. So I'm going to play her intro, why she made this song, and then we'll play the song, I'm Proud of Us from Youngse from South Africa. You guys will love this song. It's really, really inspiring. Listen to the lyrics and you kind of swell up in tears because that was our experience for all of 2022, what we went through, what our hearts went through and stuff like that too. So guys, I'm going to play the intro and then we're going to listen to Youngse from South Africa with I'm Proud of Us. And then we have the new song from Chunghae from Die Wings in Korea with Dear Mai. And then last but not least, we have Renee Lai from Taiwan with her original song, I See.
Hey everyone, this is Youngse from South Africa, and I'll just quickly introduce my song called I'm Proud of Us. So this is a song that I just really felt so inspired to write, and it's something I feel quite strongly about. It's about acknowledging the fact that we are here, we have faith, and how great it is to just have faith. Because this year we might have gone through various different things, we might have gone through ups and downs, challenges, difficulties, and we could either, just look at that and think, oh, I didn't do as well as I wanted to, or I have this and this regret, or I should have done better in this and this. Or we could look at the fact that we have faith, that we are still here, and how amazing and great and awesome it is to be in this history, and that we still believe. And through believing and having faith, we have hope. Because since we have faith, we can set new goals, we can try again, and we can always keep improving and reaching new levels. And so I wrote this song, and this is not something that I didn't really intend on sharing this song with a lot of people, like on a big platform, but I shared it with a few close friends, and their response was tears, and they were just saying that it's just so moving, and they felt so thankful for the song and said that they really needed to hear it. So I was so thankful for Holy Spirit for working through me and writing this song that someone else really needed to hear, and so that inspired me to also share it on this platform. And thanks so much to Pastor Sky for allowing me to share it, because maybe there is someone else who also really needs to hear the song. And even though the song production wise, I have to tell you that it's very raw. Because usually when I make songs for like Provi Source or Provi English music, then it's professionally mixed and produced by someone who's really good at it and has all the programs and stuff in Providence. But I don't have those fancy programs and skills to mix it like that. So when I make songs that are more personal for my SoundCloud only, then it's kind of like at the level of a live recording. So it's very, very much raw, but I kind of like it for this song, because the song is also so raw. And I hope that as you listen to it, I hope that there's someone among us, as I share it here among friends, who gain strength from the song, and just let us be reminded how great and awesome it is to keep our faith, and to especially to keep that basic faith of praying every day and keeping the pre-dawn and keeping all the services and just believing in the Lord no matter what happens. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the song called I'm Proud of Us, and I really am. It's been a long year, but I'm still here. Feels like a long time, had a lot on my mind. Every ghost that haunted me, in His name I overcame. And I know there are things things I wanted to show. There were prayers I never prayed. There were times I didn't feel the fire. But I am here, so I'm proud of me. You've been holding on, dear, and you're still here. It was a tough fight, nights with many tears. You managed to smile over your fears. With these words, you overcame. There were times you thought you will never change, but I saw how you started, and you're not the same. And I know there were things you wanted to show. There were promises that you didn't keep, and there were times you didn't feel the fire. But you are here, so I'm proud of you. There were days I thought this was too cold, but the vision we have never gets old. The dreams of 1,000 years should be told. The dreams of God should be told. And I know there were things you wanted to show. There were promises you didn't keep. You have regrets, I have them too. But the purpose we're holding on to, yeah, the purpose we're holding on to, we're cut out to do. We're cut out to do.
어디서부터 어디까지 생각해야 할지, 이 작은 한 걸음조차 어디를 뛰들지. 머리가 온통하해질 때 내 지난 길 돌아보면 그대라는 희망이 빛나요. 시기와 음해로 얼룩진 말들에 내 진심이 베이지 않게 그대를 등불 삼아 난 나아가요. 어려움도 아픔도 이 또한 지나가는 중인데 나를 주어진 길을 난 살아내겠어요. 진심을 가장한 이기심에 거친 참견들, 적당히 듣는 척 흘리는 팁에 그대가 준 용기와 사랑이 내 믿음과 기적이 돼 힘내어 나아가요. 지켜봐줘요. And keep in mind 묻어있던 걱정들은 털어내 흘러가는 시간과 섭리의 흐름에 맡겨. And keep it up 더는 아직 우릴 위해 나아갈게요. There's all water under the bridge now. The truth is diamonds. 따띠라 따따디따 따따띠라 따따라라리라 뚜뚜 따뚜 따따 길을 난 살아내겠어요
我看见主的模样 So alive, so alive 我听见主的声音 So clear, so clear 他的爱融化我心使我灵魂安然平静那话语充满能力使我能看见改变的神迹多幸运在新时代里与主一起经历风雨一生用尽全心持守我对天地约定我看见历史前进着 So alive, so alive 我听见话语满溢着 So clear, so clear 主的爱始终如一不曾改变使我能完全沉浸主话语确实不必使我能体会神爱的旨意多幸运在新时代里与主一起经历风雨一生用尽全心持守我对天地约定数天的路我越走越确信感谢圣灵强烈引导我心灵当大有主同在宝贵时机我会怀抱感谢忠诚实践到底主啊我爱你多幸运在新时代里与主一起经历风雨一生用尽全心持守我对天地约定多幸运在新时代里与主一起经历风雨一生用尽全心持守我对天地约定我看见主的模样 So alive, so alive
And that was Renee Lai from Taiwan. That's her first original song. Most of the other songs she has are covers. Her first original song, I See. Hope you guys really enjoyed that too. And big congratulations. Once again, she got her baby boy, and just seeing her baby on Instagram, really, really amazing to see new life come into this world. So big congratulations once again. Before that was Chunghae from Wings in Korea with Dear Mai. And of course, that first song, feature artist of the day, that's Youngse from South Africa with I'm Proud of Us with her intro. And I'm sure many of you are in tears after listening to that song. It's such a great reminder of that we're all still here. And it's something that we should all be proud of. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed that song. If you have a comment for Youngse, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, all right? So Let's get into some news going on around the world. And as brides of this history, we have that responsibility to just really pray for the world. But in order to pray for the world, we need to know what's going on. So let's get into some news. And we're going to start off with what's happening with Russia and the Ukraine. And Putin says that nuclear risk is rising, but we are not mad. Mad meaning like crazy. So Vladimir Putin has said the threat of a nuclear war was rising, but insisted Russia had not gone mad and would not use its nuclear weapons first. The Russian president insisted that his country would only use weapons of mass destruction in response to an attack. And speaking at Russia's annual Human Rights Council meeting, he also said the war in Ukraine could be a lengthy process. Western officials believe Putin initially planned for a rapid victory. Russia's capacity to use nuclear weapons has come under increased scrutiny since it invaded Ukraine in February. Such a threat is growing. It would be wrong to hide it, Putin warned while talking about the prospect of nuclear war via video link from Moscow. But he asserted that Russia would under no circumstances use the weapons first and would not threaten anyone with its nuclear arsenal. And he said, we have not gone mad. We are aware of what nuclear weapons are, he said, adding, we aren't about to run around the world brandishing this weapon like a razor. And Putin also boasted that Russia had the most modern and advanced nuclear weapons in the world and contrasted its nuclear strategy to the US, who he said had gone further than Russia by locating its nuclear weapons on other territories. He said, we do not have nuclear weapons, including tactical ones, on the territory of other countries, but the Americans do. In Turkey and in a number of other European countries, he said. Putin has previously insisted that Russia's nuclear doctrine only allowed for the defensive use of nuclear arms. And appearing to recognize that his plan to claim victory within days of invading Ukraine had failed, Putin admitted the war could be a lengthy process. However, he said the results had already been significant. For example, the new territories Russia has illegally claimed after sham referendums in 4 regions of Ukraine, and he boasted that the annexations had made the Sea of Azov, which is bordered by southeast Ukraine and southwest Russia, an internal sea of Russia, adding that this was an aspiration of Russian Tsar Peter the Great. Putin has compared himself to the 17th and 18th century ruler before. But despite claiming the regions of Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, Luhansk, and Donetsk as Russia's new territory, Moscow does not fully control any of those areas. Now, last month, Russian forces were forced to retreat from Kherson City, the only regional capital they had seized during the February invasion. The setbacks on the front line have led to Russia targeting Ukraine's power grid by launching massive airstrikes across the country. The airstrikes have caused widespread damage to Ukraine's energy infrastructure, leaving millions without heating and electricity for hours or even days as temperatures dropped below zero. The mayor of Kyiv, which is Vitaly Klitschko, he's a former heavyweight boxing champion, right? And he warned that Ukraine's capital, which had been badly affected by power cuts, could face an apocalypse, right? So heated shelters have been set up in the city, and Klitschko admitted there were not enough for all residents, and people should be ready to evacuate if the situation worsens. And, it's getting pretty crazy right now because it's the winter time. We don't want to see more lives being lost, but I really, really hope that as we pray for this situation can be resolved as quickly as possible. All right. Secondly, we're going to Latin America into Peru. And it says Peru's president, Pedro Castillo, replaced by Dina Boluarte after impeachment. Peru has a female president for the first time after ex-president Pedro Castillo was impeached hours after he tried to dissolve parliament. Dina Boluarte, previously the vice president, was sworn in after a dramatic day in Lima on Wednesday. And earlier in the day, Castillo had said he was replacing Congress with an exceptional emergency government. But lawmakers ignored this and in an emergency meeting impeached him. He was then detained and accused of rebellion. Ms. Boluarte, 60-year-old lawyer, said she would govern until July 2026, which is when Mr. Castillo's presidency would have ended. Speaking after taking the oath of office, she called for a political truce to overcome the crisis, which has gripped the country. Wednesday's dramatic chain of events began with President Castillo giving an address on national television in which he declared a state of emergency, and he announced that he would dissolve the opposition-controlled Congress, a move which was met with shock both in Peru. Several ministers resigned in protest and abroad. The head of the Constitutional Court accused him of launching a coup d'etat, while the U.S. strongly urged Castillo to reverse his decision. Peru's police and armed forces released a joint statement in which they said they respected the constitutional order, and Castillo tried to dissolve Congress just hours before it was due to start fresh impeachment proceedings against him. the third since he came to office in July 2021. In his televised address, he said, in response to citizens' demands throughout the length and breadth of the country, we have decided to establish an exceptional government aimed at reestablishing the rule of law and democracy. And he said that a new Congress with constituent powers to draw up a new constitution would be convened within no more than 9 months. But Congress, which is controlled by parties opposed to Mr. Castillo, convened an emergency session and held the impeachment vote Mr. Castillo had been trying to prevent. The result was overwhelming. 101 voted in favor of impeaching him, with only 6 against and 10 abstentions. So after the impeachment, Castillo was seen on police premises, and in the photos which were shared by police on Twitter, but subsequently deleted, he could be seen sitting, seemingly relaxed and chatting to others. Footage was then released of Castillo signing papers with prosecutors. He was later detained and accused of rebellion for breaking the constitutional order. Peru has been going through a rocky political period with multiple presidents ousted from office in recent years. In 2020, it had 3 presidents within the space of 5 days. Castillo, who's a left-wing former school teacher, was elected in June 2021 in a polarizing election in which he defeated his right-wing rival, Keiko Fujimori, and he had recently been fighting allegations of corruption, which he said were part of a plot to oust him. So that is going on in Peru. Leaders are changing everywhere around the world, and this is an impeachment and then a new president. Last but not least, in Germany, their arrest of 25 people accused of plotting a coup. 25 people have been arrested in raids across Germany on suspicion of plotting to overthrow the government. The group of far-right and ex-military figures are said to have prepared for a day X to storm the Reichstag parliament building and seize power. A man named as Heinrich VIII from an old aristocratic family is alleged to have been central to their plans. And according to federal prosecutors, he is one of 2 alleged ringleaders among those arrested across 11 German states. The plotters are said to include members of the extremist Reichsbürger, which means Citizens of the Reich, movement, which has long been in the sights of German police over violent attacks and racist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. They also refuse to recognize the modern German state. And other suspects came from the QAnon movement, who believe their country is in the hands of a mythical deep state involving secret powers pulling the political strings. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser assured Germans that authorities would respond with the full force of the law against the enemies of democracy. An estimated 50 men and women are said to have been part of the group, which allegedly plotted to overthrow the republic and replace it with a new state modeled on the Germany of 1871, an empire called the Second Reich. Quite interesting, because on Wednesday, the Dawn raids were being described as one of the biggest anti-extremism operations in modern German history. 3,000 officers took part in 150 operations in 11 of Germany's 16 states, with 2 people arrested in Austria and Italy, and almost half of arrests took place in southern states of Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. More than 1 in 5 Reichsbürgers are thought to be based in the southwestern state of Baden-Württemberg alone. Justice Minister Marco Buschmann tweeted that a suspected armed attack on constitutional bodies was planned, and Faeser said later that the investigation would peer into the abyss of a terrorist threat from the Reichsbürger scene. The federal prosecutor's office said the group had been plotting a violent coup since November 2021, and members of its Central Rat Council had since held regular meetings, and they had already established plans to rule Germany with departments covering health, justice, and foreign affairs, the prosecutor said, and members understood they could only realize their goals by military means and violence against state representatives, which included carrying out killings. So we don't know if this is actually true. It's going to have to go through the exact, the judicial process. Especially when it comes to media, we don't know exactly what the truth is because a lot of it has been slanted. But for now, let's just pray for this situation, especially for our members over there in Germany, to see what is happening over there, okay? So there it is, guys. That is the news around the world. Let's get into some sporting news. And in sporting news, what do we have now? Let's take a look first at, right now is actually a break for the World Cup because they're getting ready to get into the quarterfinals. So I think it starts again today. I think it's going to start today, I believe, right? So I believe the first game is going to be Brazil versus... Is it Brazil-Croatia or Brazil? I forget which one. No, Brazil-Netherlands. So that's going to be a great game to watch. We'll see what happens there. In Major League Baseball, the Aaron Judge sweepstakes is over. And guess how much he got? Aaron Judge has agreed to return to the New York Yankees on a 9-year, $360 million deal, sources confirmed to ESPN early Wednesday morning, giving the slugger nearly $150 million more than what the team had offered him in the spring. He decided to remain with the Yankees after flirtations with the San Francisco Giants, the team located about 100 miles from where Judge grew up in California, and the San Diego Padres, who have made it clear they are open to making big moves this winter. The looming specter of Judge leaving for San Francisco or San Diego gave him the last bit of leverage he needed to land the highest average annual salary of $40 million per year for any position player in history, surpassing Mike Trout's $36 million per year. But Judge had already done the bulk of the work in improving his bargaining position with his incredible AL MVP season. So big congratulations over there to Aaron Judge. In the UFC this weekend, some big fights. UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. It's Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. And it might seem like a no-brainer to rank the main event at number 1, but before the cards reshuffling, when this was still the co-main, basically everyone was saying this is a battle of unbeatens that's now ranked right below. So what changed? Let's just say these guys struck gold. They went from being maybe one fight away from competing for a championship, and that maybe cannot be dismissed considering the vagaries of UFC title fight matchmaking, to getting their shot at the belt right away, and that ramps up the importance of this contest in a huge way. Also, you have another battle of undefeateds, Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Mitchell is 15-0, Topuria is 12-0, which makes this a must-see attraction, but the appeal goes even deeper. Topuria is coming off 3 straight knockout wins, and at age 25 is on his way to becoming the future of the featherweight division. Mitchell could steal that thunder here, and if he does, he could step to the mic and say anything from an unhinged conspiracy theory to announcing another donation to a children's charity. Also, last but not least, I think this is the most favorite one with a lot of star power. It's Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon, and Pimblett is one of the latest to tickle the imagination of MMA fans as part of a kind of comedy duo with Meatball Molly McCann, and he's got a personality as huge as his weight cut, but it's not just his antics that entertain. Pimblett has won all 3 of his UFC fights and has taken home a performance of the night bonus check each time. He'll be tested here by his dance partner, the resilient lightweight Gordon. All right, so there it is, guys. That is the top 3 news in sports and world news. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Helps you guys to pray a little bit better. But you know what that means. It is the golden time. And yes, this is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? We're going to start off with The Lord is My Hope and Joy, and then Providence News, and we'll end things off with one of the newer songs, Jehovah God. So, as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Life without the Lord, how could we live? No one could live like that. Without fun, without hope, oh, what kind of life is that? Since the Lord is my hope and joy, I'll always follow. The Lord is my pride. He is the source of my confidence. Tell them of my Lord. before all things and for eternity. Jehovah, mighty God, His majesty, His glory completely fill the cosmos. His love and His great power completely fill the whole world. I will dwell within Him alone, and I know He dwells within me. He leads me with the true word of life. Jehovah, mighty God, eternal, mighty God, creator, mighty God, God of the perfect word. He is our mighty God. Creator of the earth and sky, He who made everything. Jehovah, mighty God, He who exists before all things and for eternity. Jehovah, mighty God, His majesty, His glory completely fill the cosmos. His love and His great power completely fill the whole world. I will dwell within Him alone, and I know He dwells within me. He leads me with the true word of life. Giving all my heart, I've lived according to His word. Giving all my life, I've lived according to His word. Look at all He's done in my life, His infinite power. There is nothing in the world my God can't do. He displays His mighty power through the world. Jehovah, mighty God, eternal, mighty God, creator, mighty God, God of the perfect word. He is our mighty God.
And what a great song. That is Jehovah God, one of those songs that Pastor Joan has done. I really, really enjoyed these songs. Hope you guys enjoyed them too. Before that, Providence News. That's an oldie but a goodie when it comes down to the Holy Spirit movement. And of course, that song, The Lord is My Hope and Joy. And that really reminds me of the time when Sunstein first came out. So, yeah, it's I'm not sure why it is, but there's a lot of memories with these songs, and they kind of date back to certain times, and it reminds me of those times. And It's very, very nostalgic for me, especially, being in province for like 24 years already. And it's kind of like you have these times that are split. You know what I mean? Like the times in the first half of history before I met Sunsteam, after I'm meeting Sunsteam during the grave period for 4 years. And then after that was my time in leadership, like starting to grow in leadership and starting to do like missionary work was another time. And then we had the Holy Spirit in Korea, and that was another time for me. And then we had, Sunsteam's trial. There's so many different things that were happening, right? And a lot of these songs kind of spark that nostalgia of like, oh, I remember that song when we sang that song too. So I'm not sure it's the same with you guys. You could write in the comments below if you guys have experienced that same thing. But now that our hearts are made ready through this time of praise and worship, let's get into today's word study. When it comes to the Wednesday message, Sunsteam just, I can't understand how he does it. Like 120 Proverbs for the Wednesday message. And the head leader that I was listening to did a great job kind of making it. It wasn't just reading Proverbs 1 to 120 because, if you're just going to do that, you might as well just give the sheet to everyone and then everyone can read it on their own. Like then there's no point of preparing it. You know what I mean? Like if you're just going to read it 120 Proverbs, I don't think that's doing justice as a leader, like a head leader who's trying to extract and help people understand what these Proverbs mean. And I know the pastor I was listening to, very, very good job. So, there's so many different parts to this, but I like the first question that was given in this message was, why is management important, right? And of course, throughout the message and probably I didn't see the actual Proverbs. I was listening to it as a sermon. And if nothing is managed, whatever it is, if it is not managed, it eventually rots and dies. And it's the same with people, right? And it's the same with people. And the reason why we need to be managed is because our hearts and our thoughts are changing and flipping all the time. It's changing night and day. And this is why we need to be people who are managed, right? Managed well, take care of ourselves, take care of others, and taking care of even things that we've received, whether it's clothing, whether it's your cars. Yes, I know. Cars, which I had to take care of like 15 times over the last month, right? And when we take care of those things, we can receive even more things. So God is first looking at how we manage things, and then he gives more things to us too, right? And that's why we have to kind of look at it in this way: is management is us taking care of things and resolving problems as they come up. And the more and more we do this, the more blessings we receive. And when you take a look at it from God's perspective, if you look at a child who's always solving problems and being responsible, taking care of the things that they need to do, when you see the responsibility, you want to give them more. You can't help it. But if you always have this kid, things break down and just leave it in the corner, don't try to fix it or anything else, and they're always leaving things aside, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like this kid has no responsibility, doesn't do their bed, doesn't do the dishes, doesn't cook, doesn't clean, whatever it is. Then you're like going, well, do they really deserve it? Should I even give them more than, I want to give them more, but they're not really ready for it too. And I think that's the same with all of us here in this history, especially with this week's message. Management is life. Basically, every single thing in this world, everything that we do, like me, every Friday is my laundry day. Management is life. It's something that we all have to do. Resolve these problems, and when we resolve these problems, then my clothes stop stinking, right? Because, I'm playing sports all the time. You can't just have like sweaty clothes hanging around for like 20 days. It just starts to stink really bad. And we have to realize this at that level too, right? So these Proverbs are just amazing Proverbs, and I'm not going to go over every single one of them. There's just too many, right? But of course, that first proverb is that big, powerful one: is take care of yourself first. You really got to take care of yourself. And this is one of the reasons why I look at it and say this is why a lot of leaders burn out. They burn out because they're so busy taking care of everyone else, but they neglect themselves. They don't get their laundry done. They don't have that time to breathe. They don't have that time to just go out, do their personal things, go get a haircut, go get a facial, or whatever it is, get the manicure, pedicure, whatever that helps you to recharge, right? Did I say recharge? It's recharge. Is it recharge? Recharge? Recharge sounds like a bad thing, like I said, retard or something like that. You know what I mean? Recharge? Is that right? Recharge. I'm not sure which one it is, but we need that time of recharging, okay? And if we don't take care of our own things, we're not going to be able to take care of other people for a very long time. And this is what Sunsteam talked about before, is he said, A lot of leaders run with all their heart, leave nothing in the tank, and after 2 years, they're gone. They can't do anything else. They're burnt out. And he says, what does it mean to go all out? Sansim said that going all out means 80%, using 80% of your tank. It doesn't mean putting 80% of your energy into it. You go all in, but you leave 20% of what you have in your tank. You never want to hit empty, right? So when you think about that, a lot of times when we hear the term do with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength means do 100% and use every piece of energy that you have. And the answer is no. So I'm saying do with all your heart means, yeah, put your all into it, but don't put like 100% of all your gas that's in your body. Leave 20% behind because you need that to relax. You need that to continue on with your own life. And this is another big thing is like, this is something that we look at and say, this is a big problem. Now, what's even bigger than this, if you take care of yourself, I like to think is if you can tell if someone takes care of themselves or manages themselves well is if they don't get tested, all right? And they don't get tested because of others. Now, here is something that for me, myself, I was thinking to myself, because I looked at myself and the issues that I deal with too. I'm like, Now, what does it mean to be tested? And this is a big kind of philosophical thing that I was thinking about inside my head. Like, what does it mean to really be tested, right? Does it tested mean do not get angry? And the answer is, I don't think it means don't get angry. Because we all get angry. We all get frustrated. If things are not going right, yeah, we get frustrated. We get angry at certain points and we need to fix things, right? And the problem is if, like, put it this way, it doesn't mean that don't get tested doesn't mean that someone causes a problem and then you just brush it off like it's nothing. And then they do the same problem again and then you brush it off like it's nothing. And then they do the same problem, brush it off. Why? Don't get tested. And I think that's a little too, you're oversimplifying what it means not to get tested. Not to get tested, you got to think about this is, like, if you look at the situation with Sunsteam, when you hear the news and then also you get tested and then what do? You lose your faith and you don't want to do any of this anymore and you quit Providence or whatever, things like that. That's like, that's like the big type of testing we're talking about right now. But let's talk about the little things in life, right? Don't get tested by these small things that are insignificant, right? The things that, you shouldn't be getting tested over. There are certain things that you're like, all I have to do is communicate, talk to this person, and then, we can get over this and it'd be so much easier, right? But when I think about this, like, don't get tested, it doesn't mean that you can't get angry or frustrated. Because there are some things that we do eventually need to get angry, frustrated about. We do, right? Like, it's almost like, when we talk about patience, right? God has enduring patience. He has patience. What does it mean God has patience? God has patience means there is a limit. If God doesn't get mad, it would just be God doesn't get angry. But it's not. God does have anger. There's a burning jealousy and anger, which means there gets a point where you are frustrated and angry about a certain situation, right? But patience means is you can endure it till a certain point. And the more patience you have, the more you can endure. Absolutely, right? So if you think about that, then even God has this this enduring patience is not forever. There is a limit to it, right? And in the same way too, of course, it doesn't mean, if there's something that needs to be fixed, we got to fix it. And if it doesn't get fixed, we got to fix it again. And if people don't want to do it, then it gets to a point it's very, very frustrating. Is that being tested? I don't think so. That's not being tested. That's not about and obviously it's not about my faith leaving or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that anymore, I hate church or these types of things. It's the things because you care so much for the church, you want to see it do better, right? And it has to be done in the best way, communicated really well, and eventually, it can't be done in a very emotional way, right? So, people get tested when they listen to others that get tested, and I think that's a bad thing is why would you get mad because someone else is mad? That doesn't make any sense, right? That's having no discernment. What? Oh, now I'm mad. You made me mad when I listened to this. And you're like, you don't got to test it over that, right? People get tempted. They start to blame others or get tempted sexually, blame others and providence. All these are the different things that were said in the message too. So if you could see someone who can manage themselves well, they don't get, of course, when they get, people are emotional, right? We are emotional when big things happen, but it's kind of like, how do they let it go? Like for myself, if I want to hold my emotion, I can't hold it in forever. So what do? I have to call someone I trust and they become my sounding board. And the more I speak, the more reasonable I become. Like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. And then when I talk, oh, okay, this makes sense. What do you think about this? And this person's like, oh, yeah, I think about this too. And you get a very reasonable, rational, rationalization of your thoughts in your mind. And you get to a point like, oh, okay, this makes a little bit more sense now. Right? So I hope it's something that we look at and say, oh, okay, this makes a little bit more sense to me. Oh, I'm really happy about this. I'm really, really happy about, not happy. I really understand this. Okay, I'm much more reasonable and less emotional in my mind. And that's for me. For me is, you guys got to think about it, meditate, pray on it. And then for me, just to I'm a very extroverted social person. I just got to find that trusted person and release the emotion and then kind of listen to myself as I speak, and then become more rational and become more reasonable, right? And that's kind of my style because I'm a super extrovert, and that's the style that I do, and I know that's my way. And this is why when I get to a certain point, I call someone, sit down, talk with them, release, and then as I'm talking, I begin to become more rational and more reasonable. Like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, and then I can do things in a much more controlled manner, right? And I think that's something that we should know about ourselves too. And I hope it's something that we can become those that really, really can control ourselves. But like the message says, we need to be able to take care and manage ourselves really, really well. That we don't get to the point where we're tempted or tested, blaming other people. And, we have to be those that are not tested by the minute things, right? The things that are unnecessary. And I don't think we should be tested by bigger things, but we should be able to handle them. Are we going to get emotional? I'm sure we are, but that's okay. We slowly break it down and then we move to the next level, right? Yes, we're going to get tested. Yes, we're going to have emotions come out, but we need to discern well and bring ourselves to a point where we can deal with it properly, right? So what Sunseem said is like, it's like elephants being dragged away by like a small mouse or a rodent, whatever it is, or tigers moaning because they're bitten by a rabbit, which doesn't make any sense, right? So I hope that all of us here can really think about the management of ourselves and kind of test ourselves too. At what level have we managed ourselves also, right? And I think that one of the big things we have to think about is, if we want to manage ourselves really well, kind of our focus has to be more towards God and the Lord. Like it's got to be focused towards something more true, more good, something more reasonable, someone we trust, right? Because when you put it on people, people go up and down. People disappoint. People betray. Like that's what happens there, right? But when it comes to God, God doesn't betray. God doesn't flip-flop here and there. God is someone who looks at it and say, that's the way that we should be doing it. And I hope it's something that we can look at from that level onwards, right? So let's become those that have the right center in our hearts and really, really be able to do things in the proper way. So yeah, I really, really like that point also. So, let's really be those with management is life. Like that's this week's message. Management is life. We got to manage well, take care of our faith properly. And, we need to pray. And a lot of times I forget to pray is when, just when you become physical, you lose the value of prayer. You forgot how valuable prayer really is and you lose your prayer time. The more you value the word, the more you listen, the more you're intrigued, the more you write notes, the more you go over the word, the more you value prayer, the more that you do, right? So I really hope that a lot of the things that we think about, the management is done in such a powerful way because one thing that made me think a lot from the message was make your spirit, soul, and body shine before you get old. Okay, so I thought to myself, I'm already old; it's too late. But no, but all jokes aside, it's like make your body, soul, and spirit. Right? That's like 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Make your body, soul, and spirit perfect before the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. Right? And that's something that we have to think about. It's talking not just about your spirit, not just about prayer, not just about reading the Word, not just about listening to the Word constantly all the time. But your body too, get in shape, eat good food, right? Don't sleep so late, right? Don't eat so late, right? Why are you eating that sugary stuff? It's so bad for you, right? Your soul, what are you putting into your mind? What kind of thoughts have you had lately? And those are the things you have to click and understand at a different level. Like, that is what is going on. That's what I got to change. That's what I got to fix, right? And we got to take care of all three aspects of our life. And a lot of times when these messages come out, people are only thinking about the spiritual. Oh, I'm trying to work on my spiritual, but I just can't wake up in the morning. And the answer is your physical is you're lazy. You're not exercising. You don't have enough energy because you don't exercise enough. Or you're sleeping too late. That's why you don't wake up so early. Sometimes the answers are physical. It's not always spiritual, like spiritual. Because we're in the physical body, our body and mind, our body and soul plays such a huge role that we have to look at all three aspects, right? When it comes to mental health, like we said before, how do you counteract against depression? One of the ways is exercise. It's exercise, right? And that's a very, very interesting thing is something physical is affecting something mental and eventually spiritual. And that's why we have to take care of all these things. That's why for myself, I'm very, very into exercising at the gym, going out and playing sports, managing yourself with the Holy Trinity every single day, right? And we're being blessed, right? We're being blessed by God, being in this history, setting the conditions, running for this history. But if we don't manage ourselves, that's the sad part is God's like, dude, I'm blessing you, and the only reason you're not getting the full blessing is because you are not managing your body. You're not managing your mentality, right? Think about this. A lot of people, even if they want to get married, but they don't take care of their health, and then you have like all these health issues, don't you think that's going to play a big role in your husband or wife choosing you if you always have health issues? Which means you've you've lessened your chance of marriage because you don't take care of your health. Does anyone want an unhealthy husband or wife? The answer is no way. Who would even go for someone who is an unhealthy husband or wife? It makes no sense, right? Manage yourself, then you get those blessings. God's like, imagine you're a head leader. God's like, I want you to head lead until 70. I have blessed you to head lead until 70 with the wisdom, with the knowledge, and all these other different things to lead really well. But you're so unhealthy that you can't even make it to 55, which means you've lost 15 years of blessing, right? How do we take care of ourselves? Yes, body, soul, spirit. When it comes to the spiritual things, remember, there was a couple things that was said in the messages. How do you take care of yourself? Number one, be thankful. Always be thankful. Thankful to God, thankful to the Holy Spirit, thankful to the Holy Son, thankful to the Lord. Be united with the Holy Trinity, right? Don't forget the word that you've learned, which means what? If you don't forget the words, you're always reflecting on it, you're always putting to action, right? And then, we got to go out, evangelize, save lives, taking care, interesting thing is evangelizing and taking care of and saving other lives is managing your own. It is. It is. And it's as weird as that sounds, yeah, it's just this perpetual thing is you're taking care of yourself by taking care of others, and you also have to take care of yourself too, right? And all these things are moving in this perpetual motion, right? It's almost like love. Love between two people is not one person giving all their love and the other person not giving anything back. Is you keep giving your all, they keep giving your all, and then what happens is there's this perpetual cycle between the two, right? When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of others and you're taking care of yourself, and both things are perpetual, right? You take care of others, take care of yourself, other people take care of you, and you have this cycle moving around and around and around. So I hope that we will have that mentality to understand how great it is to manage. And I think next week's message is going to also be about management too, about managing ourselves and taking care of ourselves really well also. So I really, really hope that let's really take care of people in all three levels, not just physically in sports, not just mentally by talking to them to see how things are going, but also spiritually at all three levels, right? And in a balanced way. Like one of the things I don't like is when things are unbalanced, when someone is just way too spiritual, oh, I can't stand that. When someone's way too physical, I can't stand that, right? It has to be balanced. It's somewhere in the middle, right? Spiritual things are happening and physical things are happening, and both are happening, and it makes you more stable. Someone who's too spiritual is naive to the world, right? Naive to the world. They're naive to the world. So we have to be those that understand at that level, and we know like, oh, this is what is going on. So we have to understand that our management, one of the things that I thought was so good is when it's talking about management of other people, and I see this happening, this micromanagement happening all the time with leaders. management is helping only with what is lacking, right? And the mentality shouldn't be you own these people. It's just giving directions. You don't follow them around. Let them make their own decisions. You just give them directions and they go. Let them do the rest on their own. But I've seen this a lot where leaders will pretend to let them go on their own, but at the very end, they'll just completely change and make all the decisions for themselves at the very end. I've seen that many times, right? It's like, oh yeah, you guys go ahead, do what you want, do this project, and at the very, very end, last second, change everything, and they'll make the decision on their own. And it's kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if you guys have been through that before, where it's like, sometimes a leader will go to a meeting and everyone else speaks first, and at the very end, the leader speaks last and then makes a decision on their own. That's not helping people what is lacking. That's making decisions for them. And as a head leader myself, we don't know the answers. We don't. We might have a little bit more knowledge. We might have a little bit more wisdom, but we don't know the answer. We don't. And that's why the discussion becomes such a huge issue. Just give them directions. Let them do the rest on their own. Let them make their mistakes. Let them learn from their mistakes, right? And a lot of times people are going to be okay with you helping them, but inside they don't want you to help them, right? They don't. You just hurt, the hurting of pride because you don't trust them on your own as a leader, right? Some people just don't want your help on the inside, but because you're the leader, they're going to say, oh, okay, please help me. And I like this. It's like sometimes management is just to pray. Pray for them. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of leaders are going to listen to this and they're going to think that they don't do this. Like, oh, I'm not like that. I give directions. No, I've seen it. So many people think in their minds that these people underneath them are making up their own decisions, but it's so obvious they're not. There's like a lot of leaders just in general, sometimes, well, not in general, but just sometimes lack self-awareness. Self-awareness meaning like they can't see themselves properly. Can't take care of people too excessively, right? Don't be so critical. Don't do all and yeah, this is something I'll probably talk in the next section too, right? So I hope that all of us here can really pray for each other well, pray for our leaders, pray for the followers, take care of each other in a really, really good way. And, we don't want to rule with authority. We want to rule. We're ruling with love, not authority, because I'm a head leader or because I'm the leader of this department, because I'm the assistant leader, whatever it is. So this is why it's happening. Like one of the worst things people can say is, oh, this is the way Sunsteam's done it. Oh, Sunsteam wouldn't have done it like that. And for me, that's just like misusing the name of misusing the name of Sunsteam. Oh, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done this. Or Sunsteam would have done that. Yeah, it makes no sense. Right? We need to be those that manage properly and do things in a way understanding is we don't have the answers. We make mistakes. We're sorry for them. And a lot of times there's no discussion. Like discussion amongst themselves, but there's no discussion. Right? And we have to be those that take things to, this is the ending of 2022. 2023 is around the corner. And we really got to think about change. We really do. And I'm going to talk about in the next section also, so I'll continue with the Wednesday message, right? So the big thing I think that we have to think about in our head coming from that message is it is impossible to receive salvation by yourself. And this is why you have to have the Holy Trinity and the Lord work with you, right? So there's step one is realize you can't do it on your own. You got to do it with them. But the second thing is, even if you're helped, it cannot, if you don't manage your own faith, your faith is going to die anyways. Even if the Holy Trinity and the Lord are with you, if you don't manage it yourself, you're going to die. You're going to die, yeah. And this is something where we have to realize, it's not just a one thing where you're like, hey guys, just as long as the Holy Trinity and the Lord is with me, then things are going to work out. And the answer is no way. Even when they work with you, it's not going to work out because you don't manage or you don't take care of yourselves well too, right? So I really, really hope that we'll be those that take care of ourselves and take care of others. We got to praise God, give glory. We got to pray. We got to do our responsibility, listen to the word, go to services, and make sure that we really, really take care of our own faith. And I hope that, I'm sure that the head leaders have sent out all the Proverbs to everyone so everyone can look at these Proverbs and manage yourselves through these Proverbs too. So everyone, if anything, do your responsibility, manage yourself, manage your work or school, manage others. And this is when things are constantly, perpetually done in this way, we're gaining energy and using energy perpetually, and we can do it for a long time. The problem happens when it's only one-sided, right? You don't want to burn out and do these things, other things like this also, okay? So there it is, guys. That is the Wednesday word study for the Wednesday message. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I hope you guys have an amazing and awesome I hope that you guys also had amazing, awesome realizations too, that you guys can share in the comments, but we'd love to hear that also. All right, so it is the month of December, so these songs that we're playing, most of them are now all these Christmas songs. It is a musical Friday, so I do play songs from movies. So this is a song from an animation, which is a Christmas movie, and tell me what movie this song is from.
Children sleeping, snow is softly falling. Dreams are calling, like bells in the distance. We were dreamers not so long ago, but one by one we all had to grow up. When it seems the magic slipped away, we find it all again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying, hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste, there's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. Trains move quickly to the journey's end. Destinations are where we begin again. Ships go sailing far across the sea, trusting starlight to get where they need to be. When it seems that we have lost our way, we find ourselves again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying, hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste, there's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe.
And there it is. That is the song of choice for today. What movie did that song come from? Obviously, when you hear the voice, very, very recognizable voice. It's Josh Groban. But without Googling, what movie did that come from? You know, I would say name some actors from it, but even myself, I don't even know who the voice. I think I might know only one voice from this movie, but go ahead and check that out. All right. So let's get into the last segment for today. And originally, yes, it was Let's Testify with Tuli from Australia, but she is sick at this time, and there's a lot of stuff that she has to do for her work. So our prayers go out to Tuli. I hope you guys can leave a comment for her. She's feeling under the weather at the moment. I'm gonna get into thoughts of the week when it comes to leadership and face stars. And you're like, whoa, what kind of topic is this? Is this going to be controversial? And my answer is no, not at all. Not gonna be controversial. This is gonna be more thought-provoking, right? And things that I want you guys to think about very, very carefully, okay? So what we know right now is, you know, like say the face star department is being dissolved. And, you know, this is something that we've, you know, all the face stars already know this. There's going to be no such thing as a star department in the future, right? Or I think even in Korea, or I know at the Lord's Church for sure, it's already gone, right? So we're moving away from that type of system. And by no means, even when Pastor John was talking about this, it's not like, oh, stars are bad. Nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with stars are bad or anything like they've made big mistakes. It's nothing to do with that, right? And it's more of, we've had this system, we've tried it out for like almost 2 decades. We've tried this out, and we've kind of come to a conclusion that, you know, maybe there's a new direction, a better way to do things, right? And this is the thing that kind of popped up into my head. And I want you guys to think about this also. Remember, like I said, I'm a face star too, and I'm not going to, it'll be very hard for me to say that all the things that I did over the last 20 years or 17 years as a face star is all in vain. No. All of that is a condition set. All the things that, you know, we tried it out, and, you know, we ended up with the way we are right now. And a lot of people would prefer to see something different, right? Or try to something that's going to be more successful. So here's the thing. If the star department is dissolved, right? And like, I want no one to misunderstand what I'm trying to say. I am a star, all right? Or I was a star. I don't know how you want to say it, but the star department is gone, right? But in the past, there was such a huge focus on stars, right? There was a huge focus. Every single leadership position, from where? From like even department leaders, but especially assistant leaders, headquarters, IMD, all of it was based on the older direction that was very focused on stars taking the leadership position. They're going to give their lives to fulfill God's will, right? That's true. And this is why, you know, we were all on board, right? We were all on board. You know, everyone was like, yeah, you know, these stars, you know, they're giving their life for God. All right, let's make sure that they that we put them in the right positions, and we put them there and here, and put them in all the major leadership spots, right? And you know, one thing that Pastor Joan didn't like, and one thing she did talk about in the past, was she didn't like it when there were classes in Providence where like face stars were at the very top, which makes like, well, what does that mean the rest of the people are? Like, you know, why should there even be classes in Providence? It makes no sense. And it wasn't something that was intended to make classes, right? It was more of intended just to say that these people are giving their life to God, and they're going to be the people who are doing all the spiritual work. But then, of course, in our minds, we believe that the spiritual work is the most important thing. So the people that are dedicated to the spiritual work are kind of going to just kind of naturally be at the top. And we treated them really well. I'm going to tell you guys, I was treated so well by the families, treated so well by the blessed families. JS, they did so much for me. And I cannot be thankful enough for all the support I got when I was head leading and when I was doing leadership roles in the church, right? So remember, what we're talking about now is not about whether someone did a good job or not. All we're talking about right now is change in direction. So if there's no longer a star department, so the new thought in my head right now is if it's dissolved, okay, if there's no star department, then the thing that kind of brings it into my head, is the old direction made us focus on stars, putting them all into all the leadership positions. But if now the direction is changing, shouldn't our minds change too towards like opening up these leadership positions for non-stars. Well, there's no such thing as a star anymore, right? So if there's no star, then what does that mean, right? So we're like, wait a second, right? So if there is no, like, the department's gone, like people still live their life on, some people will still live that single life and they'll, they want to live for the Lord. Technically, we're all supposed to live for the Lord anyways, right? But these people have more time to do it, right? But should it be all stars at the top? Right? I didn't say all stars, but if that's the focus, in the past, it made sense with that direction that, because they're the ones giving their life absolutely only for God, right? And they're the ones who are going to live their life, then we naturally put them all in those spots, right? And that makes sense. But now that we've reached another, like a kind of a newer direction, right? Now that we've got this newer direction, then that kind of brings up the topic. If it's no longer a department, it's no longer the direction that the stars are going to be the top of all things, and we're supposed to focus on them for the spiritual matters, then shouldn't the leadership positions be opened up to like families and because there's only going to be either single or family, right? Shouldn't it be opened up to families then too, right? And, I talked a little bit about this before, especially when it comes to, like, say, marriage and stuff like that, too. Whenever I was at the former faith church, I've never actually seen, I've never seen a single head pastor or lead pastor of a church. They're all married. They all have children. They have this great community. People are very close with each other. Lots of meetings, going over to people's houses. It's very family oriented, right? And that's where churches are essentially leading towards, right? And I do think is like, yeah, like I remember being in the former faith church, and it's just comfortable being with the lead pastor, the head pastor, because they were married. Right? Having a family, playing with their children, very stable, very settled, and all these other different things, right? And, if that's considered a very stable lifestyle and understanding life even more deeply because you're married, you understand about relationships better, you understand what it means to live with someone whom you might have just had an argument with. You're sleeping next to them. You just had an argument with them and you're sleeping. Like, there's so many things you look at like, that's so interesting. Right? And I would say personally for myself, I'm going to say personally for myself as a star for 17 years, there's a huge difference in my thinking right now. When I was full-time Providence and now I'm not full-time Providence and I'm kind of, doing podcasts and doing all these other different things. The one thing I find very, very interesting is my motivations are different. They're very, very different. Yeah. And what I see and the experiences and wisdom that I have now is very, very, it's more broad. When I was a faith star, remember, this is my personal experiences, I only see the spiritual side. I only know the spiritual side. That's all I know. But how many, that's the question I'll ask to other stars is how many of them actually have full life experience? They've been at a full-time job, 9 to 5, trying to make ends meet. But when you're a star, you're supported by the church, even though it's not a lot, you're still supported by the church. And we kind of like pressure these other people like, hey, how come you're not coming to pre-dawn? Yeah, you got to work, but still we got to put our life on the line. And number one is God. Or we don't understand why families are not coming to service or pre-dawn when they have babies and children. You're just not going to understand because you've never had that experience. Never had the experience of being poor, like having nothing, like, can I feed my children? Can I even pay for my rent? And a lot of cases, faith stars are not really in that situation, right? They're supported, and they're not as a star. I wasn't expecting much in my life. I wasn't expecting to live in my own apartment. I wasn't expecting to have my own place. I just always shared with 4 or 5 people in the same house, making sure it's cheap so I can afford. Like, it was just so different, right? And then now when I'm here, I've been working in society, working with this crypto job, and that crypto got, that project completely destroyed, and you're kind of getting to see the reality, and you begin to understand people a lot better. And I'm going to say personally for myself, now, I believe now I would do a much better job after having much more world experience, understanding families better, which I can't fully because I'm not married now, right? So I'm not going to be able to have the full range of understanding as much as other people, right? And I think this is something that is a big question, right? If direction is changing, shouldn't the direction of do you think that the direction of leadership should change too? I understand in the past when the focus for spiritual work was on stars. That makes sense. So I'm not talking about whether we did a good job or bad job. Besides the point is, should there be a change in the way that we think about leadership that, yeah, maybe we should have some families doing it, right? Yeah, maybe we should have, we should be like thinking very, very carefully. Like now that direction is changing, our minds have to change too. And the way that we see people have to change. Like for myself too is, if the star department is dissolved, then I have to think differently about the full situation. Our direction is not going like it was before. And that's something I'm just kind of bringing up what you guys think about this. Like, this is kind of these thoughts I'm just kind of bringing out of my mind, like saying, oh, direction's changed. Then if the direction changed, then we should be changing direction in the way that we think, the way that we feel, the way that we are. All that should be changing. It shouldn't be the same as it was before. The way we look at leadership, the way we see who we put into leadership, the way we have leadership, right? What makes someone like, that's a whole nother topic, is what makes someone qualified. Like, this is something very interesting is this. If you had your own business and you spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars on this business and you're making money from it, and when you want someone to manage your business, how would your interview process be like, right? You'd be interviewing them. What's your experience? What'd you do here? What'd you do there? Oh, if you were in this position, what would you do here? Kind of thing, right? But when I look at the head leader interview process, it's like, oh, do you want a head lead? Sure, I'll try it. Like that's the interview process for a head leader usually. It's not really that thorough. And if it was my own business, I wouldn't be doing it like that. But either way, that's completely another topic, what I was thinking about too. But just for me is, I do believe the end of the 2022 is here. A lot of change is happening, as we all know. Tons of changes and directions are happening. But our minds have to move with the changes. And we can't keep thinking the old way, right? And we need to make sure that 2023 is a year of liberation and freedom for all of us, but we have to do things thinking the right way, changing the things that we should be changing, all right? So that's kind of the thoughts that I've been having, and I hope it's something that you guys, it makes you guys think a lot about the changes that are happening also, and I really hope it's something that we can think about in a productive way. Like I said, it's got nothing to do with whether you do a good job or not. It's about directional change. If the direction changes, we have to think about how we are changing direction too. All right, so there it is, guys. That is the final thoughts of the week for this Friday, for the entire week. Hope you guys have an amazing and awesome weekend. I really, really hope for a blessed weekend for everyone here. And have an amazing Sunday service. And we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm